Thank you. Good morning, everybody. 早晨. Thank you. 大家好嗎? Is everybody okay today? Can we get started? Great. Thanks for coming out here on an early Saturday morning. I know it's tough. It was tough for me. So, Mr. Mayor, Supervisor Tang, Supervisor Farrell, department heads, and fellow D7 and D4 residents, I am very happy to be here today to hear from you about your priorities for the city's future. I believe the budget is the most important policy document that the Board of Supervisors and the Mayor approve every year. It expresses and represents our values, our priorities, and our vision for San Francisco. The city and county of San Francisco has a $7.4 billion budget. That might seem like a lot compared to other cities. For example, the city of Philadelphia's budget is about half that of San Francisco, for approximately double the population. But there is a reason for that. We run an international airport, a port, 2 hospitals, and produce some of our electricity and provide water to every home in San Francisco. So our budget is not only for the city functions, but for also county functions. It is also important to note that during the years, voters have approved many ballot initiatives and measures and mandates for us to spend part of our revenues on things that the people of San Francisco think are important. We have set aside for services that work with children. We have approved initiatives that ensure that we have an appropriate number of firefighters to respond to any emergency. Voters have prioritized funding for repaving streets and keeping our libraries open. All that means that out of the $7.4 billion annual budget, only roughly $1 billion is discretionary, meaning that there's some flexibility in it. Therefore, I believe that it is really fundamental that we have a careful and balanced approach to how we use our budget process. Many important things are funded through our discretionary budget. Senior services, mental health services, maintaining our parks, preschool and early education for our youngest residents, and very importantly for me, pedestrian safety improvements. Every year, my colleagues that serve on the Budget Committee and all the members of the Board of Supervisors are faced with difficult choices on how to allocate our limited resources. Last year, for the first time, my predecessors and his colleagues were able to pass a budget that saw San Francisco start to reverse the tide in terms of our economy by reinstating additional revenue in supporting small businesses, enhancing our public safety by holding 3 police academy and 1 fire academy, and starting to address our needs in terms of open space and pedestrian safety. I am proud that the city is continuing our efforts and being fiscally responsible by, for the first time in San Francisco's history, passing a 2-year budget, which creates a better tool for all those interested in the budget to see the path that we are laying down and having a 5-year financial plan that ensures a systematic, prudent, and fiscally responsible vision of the city. It's important for us to know what lies ahead to better prepare the city to address the challenges of the future, but also to learn from what we have done before. I look forward to hearing from all of you today about what you think should be the priorities of San Francisco and District 7 as well as District 4. I strongly believe that by putting all our minds to the task, we will get a better outcome. I would now like to introduce my colleague and the newest member of the Board of Supervisors, Katy Tang, who represents District 4 and who has a wealth of knowledge and experience on the budget process, having staffed the chair of the Budget Committee for the last 2 years. Supervisor Katy Tang.
Thank you, Supervisor Yee. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you to all the department heads and representatives, Mayor Lee, Supervisor Yee, Farrell, Kate Howard, our Mayor's Budget Director. And thank you, of course. I graduated here from Hoover Middle School, so it's really nice to be back. Go Hawks. So as you know, as Supervisor Yee had stated, our city's budget really is a reflection of our city's values and priorities, and so that's why it's so important that all of you come out here to really share with us what your thoughts are on the budget. As you know, the mayor every year has to submit the budget to the Board of Supervisors on June 1st, so at this moment, his team under Kate Howard, his budget staff, and have been working really hard with the departments over the past several months to come up with the proposal. But before they submit it to the board, the mayor has really reached out to the Board of Supervisors to make sure that he goes out to the community and goes around to the different districts to hear from you first. I'm happy to co-host this town hall with Supervisor Yee as our districts border each other and we share many of the same concerns and priorities. And so with that, I would like to turn it over to Mayor Ed Lee.
Thank you, Supervisor Tang. We're just kidding. We thought Katy graduated here just a couple years ago. But anyway. Good morning, everyone, and welcome again. And I want to thank the school district for offering their auditorium here at Herbert Hoover. I also want to thank our Office of Civic Engagement. They're here to be providing support and translation for those who English is not their first language, so that we can get their input as well. The community ambassadors are those in the yellow, and we've been working with them to make our streets safer. I want to thank the police and fire department personnel that are here today, in addition to all of our departments and representatives. Supervisor Tang, Supervisor Yee are working very closely with us to make sure that the districts are heard. And of course, this is the 5th of 7 budget town halls we've held throughout the city. And I want to especially thank Supervisor Mark Farrell, because he's been with me on every one of these to make sure that as he fulfills his role as the chair of the Budget Committee this year, that he has input from each of the supervisors, but most importantly, from the residents of each district. This is a promise that we made, that we would primarily today in each of these town halls listen to the residents' views of what they think is important in what Supervisor Yee has described as a very large budget, one that is reflective of a huge amount of responsibility for the city to run it. But within that, it should reflect a budget that is sound, a budget that represents a level of safety for the city, but also a budget that represents what we feel would make our city successful. And how you define success? Well, from the neighborhoods, a lot of it is we want strong commercial corridors in our neighborhoods. We want our city to be safe. We want our education system to reflect high values. We want potholes to be filled. We want Muni to run on time and not do these switchbacks that Supervisor Tang has always been very focused on. We want our playgrounds and our parks to be very clean, very open, very welcoming, very affordable. All these things we've been hearing throughout the city, and I want to make sure that the bulk of time today is that we listen to your viewpoints about what is important. In the past years, you should know that much of the testimony in these meetings affected the way we prioritize in the budget. When we heard a year ago that many of our seniors were really facing a lot of cuts in their nutrition programs, we responded. Last year, when we saw those cuts in AIDS funding from the federal government, we responded to make sure our health system really focused on the people that were in great need. Or our senior centers or our youth centers. when they said, hey, a lot of kids are running around, nothing to do. There's going to be a lot of trouble if kids don't have things to really fulfill their rich lives. And a lot of parents came out and said, let's invest in recreation programs and violence prevention programs. Our budget was successful because it reflected what people said was needed in their neighborhoods, and we're going to continue doing that. Now, we're getting more revenue in the city. I will never use the word surplus because there isn't any. We always have a deficit still because we're doing smarter things. We're trying to make sure that our budget covers 2 full years, and that's the big challenge. But because we've done that, guess what? Our unemployment rate is down to 6% in the city. That's the 3rd lowest in the whole state of California, and we're going down even further. And one of the reasons why we're doing that is that right after this, I'm going to be joining probably about 1,200 kids who are looking for jobs this summer. We're going to help them. Kids from these districts, from all over the city. We're going to go and give them some training about how to conduct themselves in the interview, how to put together a resume, because we're working with United Way this summer for the Summer Jobs Plus. We are going to work with every single department in the city and as many companies in the city to produce 6,000 summer jobs, all paying jobs for kids in San Francisco this summer. So this is what we want to do, because this makes our city successful. And we're going to continue increasing that every single year, because we know when kids start understanding how they can earn their way forward, they're going to appreciate what we do as parents, because we work pretty hard every day, but sometimes we don't know if the kids appreciate that. If they start earning, then they know that when they buy something, they earned it. And so we're going to kind of instill that spirit in all the kids. We're going to focus on a lot of economically poor kids in the city, but 6,000 jobs. Last year, we got 5,200. So this is very doable. And they're going to be in companies like Starbucks and technology companies, Salesforce, Wells Fargo, PG. They're all stepping up, along with every one of our departments are stepping up as well. And so I think we're going to have a fun summer. We're going to have one that is enriching for everybody. In addition to work, there's play, there's many more parks to work on, and then we're going to take care of a lot of other people. But today, let's spend the time listening to you, give your testimony about what we should be focused on in our budget, and we'll try to honor that as best that we can and balance it with all the other viewpoints that we've been given in the 5 others and ultimately in the 7 full budget town halls that we're holding throughout the city. Thank you very much for spending your valuable time coming out here on a Saturday morning and giving us your feedback. Appreciate it. Now we will have Supervisor Farrell. You want to say?
Thank you, Mayor Lee, and happy Saturday morning, everyone. My name is Mark Farrell. I'm the supervisor for District 2, and also this year have the honor of chairing our Budget Committee in City Hall, and following in the footsteps of Supervisor Carmen Chu, who did such a great job the last 2 years. I'm going to keep this very short because, as Mayor Lee mentioned, today is about listening to you. We're doing 6 of these town halls out in the different neighborhoods of San Francisco. We did an online town hall the other week on the internet. But the point is that we will have a budget that reflects the values of San Francisco, but we want to make sure that everyone has the confidence that we're doing it in a very open and transparent manner. And my priority is really to manage our budget in a way that not only reflects our values, but also balances the need to make sure that we do everything we can today in San Francisco, but also we plan responsibly for our future as a city, future for our children, for our grandchildren, to make sure the San Francisco of tomorrow is just as great as it is today. So thank you all for coming out on a Saturday morning, and very much look forward to hearing from you throughout today. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Supervisor Farrell. So just really quickly, want to go over the agenda for today. Next, I'm going to call Kate Howard, our mayor's budget director. She's going to give an overview of our city's budget process. Then after that, we're going to go into public comment. So mayor's office staff, if you want to just raise your hands real quick again, they're going to be coming around to collect your comment cards. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get to everyone today, but we're going to try our very best. So after public comment, we will hear from Supervisor Farrell again just to talk about kind of the budget hearing process. So with that, also I wanted to set a few of the ground rules here. If you'd like to speak, again, fill out the speaker card. The open mic will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker, and we have Leo Chi here, who is our timekeeper, so just make sure to keep your eye on him. And if you see the red paper, just make sure you realize that your time is up, so that we can be respectful of everyone's time. And if you can stay on topic, that would be great. And again, if we don't get to your speaker card, we will collect them and take your comments into consideration. So with that, Kate Howard.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Kate Howard. Thanks for being here today. So I thought I would just talk for a few minutes about our budget. But before I do that, I wanted to make sure you all know who's here. So we have a number of department heads here with us today. We have the Fire Department, the Department of Public Works, San Francisco Police Department, Office of Small Business, San Francisco Housing Authority, the Arts Commission, the Mayor's Office of Housing, Department of Building Inspection, Office of Economic and Workforce Development, and our Department of Public Health. Then on the far side of Supervisor Tang, Human Services Agency, the Public Library, Department of Child Support Services, MTA, Rec and Park, Juvenile Probation. We also have a number of department heads and department staff up in the front over here. We have the Mayor's Office of Disability, Department of Children, Youth, and Their Families, Aging and Adult Services, the Controller's Office, and the Department of the Environment. I think I got everybody. So there's a lot of folks here today to listen to you and to hear your thoughts about our budget. Feel free to approach any of the department staff at the end if you have specific questions. So what's a budget? I think the mayor and the supervisors addressed this well. A budget's really our plan for how we're going to spend the money, the resources that we have. It should reflect our priorities and our values of San Francisco. It's also a law, and it's a law that the Board of Supervisors has to pass every year. As Supervisor Yee mentioned, our budget's very large, about $7.4 billion. It's for both the city and the county of San Francisco. We're one government. And we spend, if you look at the second chart in the middle, about 32% of that total budget on public works, transportation, and commerce. So that's things like the MTA, the airport, and the Public Utilities Commission. We spend another 20% on public health, and then about 14% overall on public protection. So that's the police department, the fire department, Department of Emergency Management. A lot of times people ask me, where do we get our money? And the easiest answer is from all of you, right? It comes from the taxpayers. But more specifically, we get in our general fund, which are our local tax resources that aren't associated with those enterprise departments, about 32% of our overall resources from property taxes. So it's about $1 billion a year from property taxes. We also get about 13% from business taxes, and about 1 out of every $5 in San Francisco comes from another level of government, so from the state or federal government in particular. That's important because when the state and federal government make changes in their budgets, they have really direct effects on us here in San Francisco, since we rely for about 20% of our total general fund sources from the state and federal government. As Supervisor Farrell mentioned, we have begun a really important planning process where we are looking at our 5-year budget outlook. The fourth chart over that you can see is showing you the gap between our revenues that we're taking in over the next 5 years and the expenditures that we're projected to have. So over the next 5 years, our expenditures are projected to grow, if you look at the red line, by about 25%, and our revenues are expected to grow by about 13%. So the gap between the black bar and the red bar is what the challenge that we're trying to solve. So how do we solve that deficit? So that's kind of the budget in brief. I also wanted to just share with you a little information that we have. You know, we're here today to hear your experience, your stories, your priorities. We also have a way of getting information from you on a regular basis, which is through 311. When people in the community call and report on their concerns or have have things that they need help with. And so for districts 7 and 4, the most common concerns that came into 311 were related to abandoned vehicles and streets and sidewalk cleaning. So we'd certainly be interested in hearing if those kinds of concerns are consistent with your experience or if there are other things that you'd want to share with us. So with that, I will hand it back over to Supervisor Tang.
All right, thank you, Kate. So just as a reminder, if everyone can start filling out their comment cards and turning them in, I'm going to call groups of 5 at each time, and if you can make your way over to the podium when I call your name, that'd be great. I have here Megan A.G., Anyun Chang, Yumi Sam and Angela Tickler, Annie Chung, and Lisa Spinelli. Oh, I'm okay, thank you. Go ahead first.
I guess I'll go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Megan Agee. I'm the director of the Sunset Neighborhood Beacon Center in District 4. And I'm also here representing Dawn Stickle from Sunset Youth Services. She had to cancel last minute because her son qualified for a music competition, and he's a senior in high school. So I'm speaking on behalf of both of us. I think I've interacted with many of you before, particularly Maria Sue and Phil Ginsberg here, and of course our supervisor, talking about youth and family issues in District 4, which is what I'm here to talk about today. I just have a couple of quick main points. The first being working in the outer sunset is a real challenge when it comes to the conversation between absolute numbers and percentages. So in the budget process, I really encourage all of the decision makers to think about absolute numbers. SNBC, the Sunset Neighborhood Beacon Center, we work at 5 local schools, and there are obviously more than that. 3,000 children, more than 3,000 children attend those schools. Percentage-wise, only about half of them, a little over half I should say, qualify for free and reduced price lunch, which is a major metric when it comes to determining services that are provided for a community. However, that means more than 1,500 children are hungry every day, and that's just what's on the registers. So I really encourage folks to think about absolute numbers when it comes to the Sunset District. There are very large populations of youth and families, and percentages don't tell the full story. The second point would be about summer services. Maria knows well, we've talked a lot about summer services. I got an email at 3:20 this morning with a parent begging us to admit her child into programs. Our wait lists are well over 100 youth. That's just not even possible. So invest in summer services for families. And the final point has to do with the Children's Fund. This is a critical part of the city budget and the way we spend, and it's really an investment, a statement about what we want San Francisco to look like 10 to 15 years from now. So if our youth and families aren't supported now, we have no long-term vision. I'm done. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Yumi. I'm a president of Taradell Parkside Merchants Association. Our top priority is to fix our street, Taravell. It is long due for repaving and retracking. There's many potholes and cracks, and street signs like crosswalk signs and stop signs are fading, and it's very dangerous. We want more cherry blossom planted on a street. We got some, but not enough. If we can get all this, our street will be very attractive for many people to visit who are merchants, and it will be a beautiful place for our residents to live. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Angela Tickler. I'm the owner of the hardware store on 25th and Irving and the president of the Outer Sunset Merchant and Professional Association. And would like to speak a little bit to bigger picture related to trying to find some ways to minimize the disruption that occurs to local businesses and residents when it comes to redundant or repetitive street construction. I'm not discounting the need for infrastructure improvements, but for example, currently the area of 19th and 20th Avenue in Irving is undergoing a month-long PG&E project, which is taking away parking resources. And businesses in that area are experiencing a 30% drop in revenue, which for a struggling small business for a month is enough to put you under. That same area will undergo the exact same problem later on this year when our corridor is repaved, which we are quite grateful for, and will happen potentially again when the ADA curbs go in if they are not timed with the street repaving. It's a hit that small businesses take particularly hard. We've experienced the same thing on 25th Avenue between Lincoln and Irving, where the street was completely repaved by the city about 9 months ago. It has already been torn up twice in 2 different areas by 2 different non-city agencies. AT&T is one, and I can't remember the second one. It is slated again for ADA curbs to go in, and again will be disrupted with the addition of the AT&T surface-mounted facilities that are going in. So I would just urge you to find ways to try to coordinate more of the city's construction and outside vendor construction, because basically a brand new street was already compromised less than a year after it already went in, twice, and will happen 2 more times. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Ayan, and I'm a junior from Lowell High School. I'm sure many of you have heard the recent tragic accident that happened in early March that took away the life of my beloved childhood friend, Heinrich. I still remember the day that I found out about the news. It was first period, I was in class, and my classmates were like, "Have you heard about the recent accident?" I was like, "No, who is it?" And then he was like, "Oh, it's Heinrich," and I just couldn't believe it until it was confirmed and my Reg teacher read the letter that was supposed to read to all students. To this day, I cannot believe that a friend or family member just can be taken away like that. And I believe part of the issue that could happen was because of the unregulated street slope. Because if anyone's driven by slope in 19th, it's a long, straight line without any regulation, no stop sign, no light, no walking light or anything. And drivers, anyone just tends to speed up on that strip because they see, oh, you know, this is long road with nothing to stop me, so I'm gonna speed up. And you know, there's usually not that many pedestrians except in school time. I think it is crucial that the city spends the budget on pedestrian safety because I've done some research and it is not the first accident that happened on slope. There has been many previous accidents, and according to the Neighborhoods Association, this has been a problem before I was born. I really want that to be the last accident that happens on slope. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Lisa Spinelli, and I'm the president of the Sunnyside Neighborhood Association. And just to echo the last speaker, we lost the custodian of Sunnyside Elementary School less than a month ago on Edna Street due to a fatality with a car. And I think this issue of safety, I want to talk about 2 things today. I want to talk about safety and blight, and they're interrelated. First, with safety, we have lost too many people to unnecessary car accidents, and that I'm struck by how much money we spend on getting people to ride their bicycles, and not everyone rides a bicycle. We want more too, but we all walk, and yet pedestrian safety is not something that we're allocating excuse me, enough resources to, and I think that needs to be something that we need to make sure gets an appropriate amount of expenditure toward to really make us a safer community collectively across all of our neighborhoods. So that's my first point. My second point is I actually want to thank all of you. We don't have we have Mother's Day, Father's Day. We don't have special day to honor public servants. I don't think there's a greeting card. And I want to say that to you because I call your departments, I ask for things, you're responsive, and I just want to appreciate appreciate you. You could choose to do anything for a living, but being a public servant is not an easy job to take, and I thank you all in all of your departments for what you do. And I think that appreciation really matters, and I'm always trying to be the advocate for the city with the community. So the second thing I want to talk about is around blight, and that we have a lot of blight. The first thing is I want to make sure that you have pots of money that are open pots of money that can be leveraged. We can leverage volunteers to do things, but we need resources to do that. Monterey Boulevard's replanting is an example of that, so I would suggest we continue to do that. And the last thing is that I would say we have mixed results with 311, and I would suggest we take a look more closely at what creates a completed case in 311. I would say 50% of the time they are actually resolved versus times when they are handed off. So thank you again, and appreciate all you do.
Thank you. Before Annie goes up, I just want to call the next 5 speakers. If you want to make your way over here, Cheryl Majid, Kim Garcia, Brian Chu, Charles, I'm sorry, I can't read your last name, but from Inner Sunset Heights, and Dick Morton.
Good morning. Good morning, Mayor, Supervisors, representatives from all of our city departments. Please say hello to all our seniors from the District 7 and District 4, and I thank them for coming to the town hall with us every time that we can. Thanks to OSHA providing translation and language services, now it's a lot easier to get the non-English speakers to come to this town hall because they feel that they could participate as equal citizens as those that speak English. So thank you very, very much, Mayor and Supervisors, for supporting the language access programs for our cities, limited English speakers. Today, as Self-Help for the Elderly CEO, I'm here to talk about the needs of our seniors. As you know, Mayor and Supervisors, San Francisco has the highest number of seniors over 65. We're already at 19% of the population, higher than any city near us, near San Francisco. So I want to talk a little bit about how CPI has really eroded the core of the senior services that through DAS, through Ms. Ann Hinchen, has provided to all of the seniors in San Francisco for many years. For example, I'm sure Kate and your budget staff had told you that for the CPI increase alone for food items, for the past 6 years, the increase for food and gasoline and other CPI increase rises close to 57%. And for the past 3 years, 41%. So Mayor, even when you made our nutrition program whole a couple of years ago, but by being flat funding for the past 5, 6, 7 years, and with the food costs keep escalating, already Self-Help for the Elderly, as we try to serve the 300,000 meals a year, we are finding ourselves staring at a $100,000 deficit. So I urge you to take a look at senior services like information referral, the BTOP program, the immigration program, the nutrition program. They all need some infusion of extra dollars from you. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Mayor, Supervisors, Department Heads. Thank you so much again for this opportunity to come before you and speak about the needs of our community. I also want to echo, I'm really happy that we have translation available for our residents to be able to be part of this process. My name is Kim Garcia Meza. My husband and I and our 3 school-age children have been proud and happy residents of District 7 for the past 8 years. I've been in education in San Francisco for the past 20 years. For the past 6 of those years, I've been the director of an in-home Spanish language preschool, also in District 7. I want to talk about the important need to continue to be on the forward movement of providing quality early childhood education from birth to age 5. In San Francisco, we've done some great innovative programs like Preschool for All. We've really invested in early childhood education, and it's really critical for us to continue to do that. It's a win-win-win situation when we do. First First of all, when we provide quality early childhood education from birth to age 5, we make sure that our children come into our public school system, our school system, well prepared socially, emotionally, and academically to enter our kindergartens. We provide working families the opportunity to continue to be part of our workforce while making sure that their children are being well cared for in quality programs. And as a small business owner, I consider child care providers and preschool directors as part of our small businesses. We make sure that small business owners and child care providers are an increasingly important part of our small business economic platform in our district and our city. So continue to support quality early childhood education, and we all win. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, city officials and community members. My name is Brian Chu. I live in the Sunset and I attend Lowell High School. So currently I represent District 4 in the San Francisco Youth Commission, which serves as an advisory body to the Board of Supervisors and Mayor on issues that affect young people. So first of all, I want to thank the city for pushing ahead with Summer Jobs Plus, which encourages 6,000 summer jobs for youth and 1,000 of which will be permanent throughout the year. And so this is an excellent investment because these youth are being instilled with the skills that are necessary for them to become the effective workers of the next generation. So on behalf of the youth, we appreciate that and we hope that it becomes a more permanent priority. And on that note, many of these young people take Muni. So what we like is a reliable system, a system that does not drop us off halfway through the sunset, a system that we can depend on to get to school and work. And on a third issue is pedestrian safety. San Francisco remains one of the most dangerous cities for pedestrians, and we've been hearing that a lot in this meeting. So whether it is strategically placed stop signs, visible crosswalks, or just simply enforcement of laws, my hope is the city can accomplish this in an urgent manner, because I don't want to see another roadside memorial before the city does this. And so these are some of the issues that will be discussed in the upcoming Sunset District Blueprint meetings, which I encourage everyone to attend. These meetings throughout next year will direct the long-term priorities of the Sunset, and I hope that you'll join me in the community to channel our district's concerns to Supervisor Tang's office. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cheryl Magid, and I'm the administrator for L'Haim Adulte Healthcare, a program of Jewish Family and Children's Services. Jewish Family and Children's Services is a social service agency that provides a full range of services from the cradle to the grave. And a majority of our seniors' services are located in the western part of San Francisco. We are located at Judah Street and 30th Avenue, and we serve medically frail Russian immigrant seniors. Approximately around 86 is our average age. Clients attend our center 3 to 5 times a week, and we're one of the largest centers in Northern California. We provide medical services, nursing, physical therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, nutrition, meals, and therapeutic activities. Without our center, our clients would most likely be forced to live in a nursing home and possibly far away from the communities that they really from their homes and their community. As you know, Adulte Healthcare has taken a large budget hit in the last several years on the state level, and in fact the program was eliminated from the state as a Medi-Cal option, and due to a class action lawsuit and with hundreds of advocates from the state, it came back. And we really appreciate the support of the mayor and the Board of Supervisors and the Department of Adult and Aging Services in providing local funds to help make up for the state level cuts and allow many clients to continue attending the center during this time. And to identify and to continue to help us to identify funds to cover the true cost of this critical service and to support our center as the year continues. Additionally, we really strongly want to thank you for helping us with the OOA grant, which is case management money, and also to support the care and love that we give our seniors. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Dick Morton. I am going to speak on disaster issues. As mayor Lee knows, I have seen him at many fires responding with the Red Cross to help people in those types of incidents. I'm also chair of the SPUR Disaster Planning Committee. I worked with Chief Sir and his staff to develop a new first responder program for the police department called Alert. And I'm focusing on what the SPUR committee that I worked with is, how do you drill down disaster to the neighborhood level? Often it's at this level. Our first responders, police, fire, and emergency are going to be overwhelmed. So what do we have? We have an excellent program headed by a wonderful person, Lieutenant Erica Articeros. She has thousands of existing NERTs, new NERTs, multiple training sessions, and it's Erica. She needs an additional staff person. We need to increase basic funding. We need to reinstitute advanced training. We're trained to crib using 2x4s. It's a big difference to go out to TI and have to lift a ton of concrete. Also need to consider Berkeley neighborhood caches so that we can have equipment supplies where the NERTs are. My second issue is on the auxiliary water supply system. You can't really see it, but the red chart are the vulnerable neighborhoods in this city not served by auxiliary water supply system. We need to appropriate general funds to acquire portable water supply systems. We all know what those are because we saw the photographs in the Marina District of people pulled out of bars pulling hose. That hose was portable water supply system. We need those distributed around this neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Before the next speaker, I'm going to call Frank Noto, Jennifer Walsh, Robin Brasso, Steve Ward, and Deborah Cullinan.
Okay. Morning, Mr. Mayor, Supervisors, Department Heads. Thank you for coming here this morning. My name is Charles Head. I'm the President of the Sunset Heights Association of Responsible People. I'd like to echo the concern previously made by the Sunset Merchants Association about temporary loss of parking, even if it may be 2 or 4 times. What I'm concerned about is a larger, more permanent, what we think of as a war on cars that seems to be going on. This takes several forms. One is the reduction of parking places due to increased numbers of bike lanes and other traffic calming measures. It takes place with increased meters being put in on streets that were unmetered. It takes place with collection of parking on Sundays and holidays that were normally not enforced. I think from my point of view, I live close enough to Golden Gate Park to walk there. I love to use Muni all the time. But what's going on is that areas of my neighborhood which are unmetered basically are very congested on the weekend with people taking our neighborhood parking places. Not that we begrudge that, but it happens consistently every weekend now. And let's see, we have to be cognizant that there are people who want to drive in the city. Tourist spending is an important component of what becomes the budget. And we can't drive out drivers or prevent them from coming into the city and not spend the money that we'd like to see them spend. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Jennifer Walsh. I am a connector for the Community Living Campaign. I want to share some of the highlights on how being connected to the community and the world through technology empowers the residents of Laguna Honda Hospital. We began a network around a resident to give her something to look forward to. Through our get-togethers, we discovered she didn't have a reliable way to contact her family. When an iPhone was placed in her hands, her whole world opened up. We started to meet other residents who were interested in technology. A big pitfall of living in an institution is that you feel isolated and you don't feel like you can contribute anything. We met a resident who loves meeting people from all over the world. He has over 30 blogs, and he wanted the other residents to have this same liberating experience. He always talks about how wonderful it is that he could be in a hospital and travel the world only by hitting a couple of keys on his keyboard. Whoever is reading his posts might be having a bad day, but something he writes might change their outlook. This is how he is contributing to the outside world from the hospital. A year ago, with the support of the Community Living Campaign, the residents at Laguna Honda got together to create and run a computer club, and I have seen the members' confidence grow with each skill they learned.
Good morning. I'm Robin Brasso, and I live in District 7, but I also serve on the city's Pedestrian Safety Advisory Committee, and I understand the comments of some of the previous speakers. We are faced with that when we hear the terrible statistics of people who are killed in this city yearly. The numbers are enormous. But I want to speak to you today about a program called the Bicycle Ambassador Program. This program exists in many cities across the country, and I would like to see the program that they use in New York City implemented in San Francisco. As bicyclists have increased exponentially, although the Bicycle Coalition does teach bicycle safety, too many of them are running red lights, not stopping at stop signs, and failing to yield to pedestrians. And although I'm the child advocate, I do belong to many senior organizations, and they have told me that they are more afraid of bicyclists than they are of cars. So this is a program where you train bicyclists. They wear a special shirt that says Bicycle Ambassador Program on them. They carry pamphlets with the information to the rules of the road. You stop at stop signs, you don't run red lights, and you yield to pedestrians. Now, this program only costs $47,000 in New York City. I run the program by the now retired captain of traffic, Al Casieto. He likes the program because it's an education program. The ambassadors are trained to be polite. They speak very nicely to people on the street. It would complement the program of bicycle safety that is taught at the coalition. And I think that we could be very successful. They would take a pledge when they give them the information on the rules of the road. They would wear a little patch that said, yes, I will follow the rules of the road. It is an interim step between doing nothing about enforcement and the police. Thank you very much.
My name is Frank Noto. I'm with the Golden Gate Heights Neighborhood Association, but I'm here not to speak so much about a local neighborhood issue, but one that affects all of us in San Francisco. And that's, you hear very legitimate requests for services here. That's virtually everything we've heard so far from the public. But we get services in San Francisco because we pay for them. We get a little bit of state and federal money, but most of it comes from the taxpayers. So we need to be concerned about costs, about productivity and efficiency. Productivity, very briefly, I think that the city has been doing some things to increase productivity, and for that I thank the department heads and Mayor Lee. But I think that we need to look at costs. The issues of health care, pensions, and health for retirees are something that we can't say, oh, that's done, because that's going to affect us over time.
not just this year, but 5 years from now and 10 years from now. Please don't leave us a legacy where we have to cut services drastically in the future because you haven't done those things. So that's very important for you supervisors and as well as for the mayor, I think. In terms of efficiency, I just want to take one small program. Supervisor Kim has legislation on CEQA, which I think is going to make things less efficient and cost us more money, both in private and public projects. Small projects in this case, they're all small projects. It's not anything that requires an EIR. But you're going to have more appeals, and you're going to have them later in the process. That means that when you're doing curb cuts or street improvements or small improvements in the parks, you've got to go through the process, and then at the end, they say, oh no, you're going to have another appeal here. That's expensive to us, the taxpayers, and to the city. So thank you for listening.
Hi, my name is Deborah, and I am here as a resident of District 7. My son is graduating from Commodore Sloat and going to Aptos next year, and I'm also the executive director of an organization called Intersection for the Arts, which is a nearly 50-year-old art and community development organization that is located downtown but does work all over the city. We support a number of important art projects and workshops in these districts and neighborhoods. And a significant number of the artists that we work with live in these neighborhoods. Before redistricting, as far as I can tell where I am now is 7, another item, I worked really closely with the Excelsior Action Committee, the Ocean Avenue CBD and Merchants Association, Supervisor Avalos' office, and a bunch of neighborhood nonprofits to launch art walks and festivals on Mission Street and the Ocean Avenue. These things still live on. They have lives of their own. They're beautiful examples of how arts and community collaboration can really enliven streets. I'm here to urge you to consider the immense power of the arts organizations, projects, and artists who live and work in our neighborhoods. More and more of these artists are called upon for the role they can play in bringing people together to instigate more equitable change in our neighborhoods by activating quiet and blighted places, working with neighborhood youth, going into our schools and community centers, and working with CBOs. This is really important. I'm also here because our arts agencies, the San Francisco Arts Commission and Grants for the Arts, have taken pretty significant hits in the last couple of years. The Arts Commission's Cultural Equity Grants program has not been increased for years. Grants for the Arts took a 25% cut. And I just want us to understand what is at stake. The arts are a central community development component in this city, and without the arts, bridging gaps, helping to educate our children, working in our neighborhoods, we really run the risk of a kind of inequitable change that I think would be unimaginable. If we can do it, please consider these agencies and the role they play in almost every issue that we've talked about today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I'm now going to call up the last group of 5 speakers, Glenn Rogers, Clarice Moody, Carol Ito, Thomas Soper, and Aubrey Friedman.
Hi, members of the audience, Your Honor, and dignitaries here. I'm like Frank up here. I'm kind of here from the La Playa Park Coalition. It's a new and upcoming neighborhood in the city, and I believe it's going to be a star neighborhood for our city. We've been working closely with Department of Public Works and hope to work with the Parks Department and the MTA and Your Honor and the supervisors. We have a wonderful new supervisor and Katy Tang over here. But I didn't really come here to address that. What I really wanted to do was, like Frank, is to address something that I believe affects the whole city. And rather than, it's not a criticism, it's a suggestion. This facility here, for example, if it was offered, it's not always being used. It's not being used now, and so we're using it, but during the summer and other times throughout the year, it's not being used. Our whole city is fraught with what I call fallow assets. In other words, assets that could be utilized to increase our revenues for the city of San Francisco. And I happen to be in a particularly unique situation, having visited all the schools because I've been working in the schools for over 10 years, and all the schools since I'm retired from the newspaper, but I am a substitute teacher at this point. I also am retired from the Teachers Association, so I know that there are facilities. For example, Washington High School has a field that overlooks Golden Gate Park, has tremendous view of Golden Gate Park. There's all these fields. Lincoln, right over here, has tremendous views looking over the Pacific Ocean and down. And then there are the auditoriums. Then there are the kitchens. So what I'm suggesting is, I feel that that's not just true with the school system. I suspect that in other areas that we have these same, what I will call, unused assets. And what I'm recommending is that we should do an inventory of these assets, and then see if that we can't offer some of these assets to our corporate community, so that, for example, when conventions come in, we can offer these assets and then have a new revenue stream coming into the city to maybe get. Okay, I'm being asked to stop. Anyway, you understand what I'm driving at, and I hope the mayor will see the advantage of what I'm working on.
Mayor, Supervisor, and fellow San Franciscans, I wanted to discuss the budget outlook a little bit. I'm sure this is something you folks all know, that the major problem with the budget is pensions, outpay, and health care costs. I wanted to bring to the mayor's attention, and I would hope that he would encourage San Franciscans to be able to vote for a bill that is going to become available in the near future, which would be able to monitor the cost of health care. Presently, health care is running out of control, and at the WellPoint had paid $20 million to their CEO just before they gave her the boot. Also, Anthem Healthcare raised their rates 17%, which is too high, obviously. So if this new healthcare watchdog is approved, it would make California be monitored the same way auto insurance is monitored. California has the lowest rates for auto insurance in the United States because of this watchdog agency. So this particular bill could be a great boon to the budget. In terms of pension reform, I think that any of these items would probably be too contentious to be discussed here in an open forum. However, I will email to Supervisor Yee a very informative website that I found on that subject, and I would hope that someone would consider the suggestions in this email from me. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Clarice Moody, and I live at Noriega and 34th Avenue. And today I'd like to speak on something that I don't think is going to cost any more money, but it regards code enforcement, pedestrian safety, and quality of life issues in the Sunset. Along the Noriega Street corridor, some of the shop owners have expanded their wares, practically covering the sidewalk. You can't walk through. Mainly they're the produce departments that are now out there, although there's some meat out there too. Pedestrian safety also includes cars that are parked in driveways consistently, trucks. Once I stopped a meter person and said, you know, there's a guy that's got his pickup out there with a, I love the term headache bar, whatever that thing is on the top of the pickup, and it's extended clear into the street. I'm a walker, my husband's a walker. We walk daily from 34th to 19th, and also the trash along that area. I'm so glad the city has sponsored whatever department it is of those cheerful volunteers with the brooms and the they're cleaning. I mean, we have the cigarette butts, all that. Okay, I'm not just a cranky old senior, love the Giants, but I just like code enforcement, and so that our quality of life can be really good. This is a great city. We want it clean and safe for walkers, and bless you all for coming out. Bye.
Good morning. My name is Thomas Soper, and I have been a resident for the Sunset for 30 years at least. I am an architect by profession, and I'm here also to speak on behalf of our newly formed Residents Association, the Sunset Residents Association. I wish to also echo the many comments in regards to the quality of life in our streets in the Sunset. And we are engaged in the process of designing prototype streetscape design within our own local community. We're here not to ask for something, but to offer our services of my architectural firm to anyone in the audience that is interested in these sorts of problems. The city has a wonderful document called The Better Streets of San Francisco, and there are many wonderful things in that document that we should also learn from and implement, and we would like to help offer our services to help anyone in the community that is in need of this. I'll be available after the meeting if anyone wishes to talk with me. Thank you.
Good morning, Mayor Lee, supervisors, and department heads. My name is Carol Icho. I've been a resident in District 7, Supervisor Yee's district, for over 34 years. And I'm here this morning to speak really as a citizen, but as some of you know, I've served for 3 mayors as president of the Women's Commission and also 12 years as the Airport Commission, really spending time trying to get small local businesses to access our big business at Airport. So I have 3 points I want to make. First, on the pedestrian safety issue, which has been discussed quite a bit this morning, is it affects both youth and seniors, but also I think what needs to be addressed, I know Supervisor Yee has been having public hearings on this matter, is that it's not just the main thoroughfares like Sloat. Ocean Avenue is going through great positive development these days. There's a lot of through traffic between Plymouth to Monterey, Miramar, where I live, through Monterey, and it's accidents waiting to happen. So I hope that you, in your plan, your overall plan that you look at within districts that, within neighborhoods, that there's some safety issues on some of these major thoroughfares. My second point is about small business development here. I know that there's an effort to balance the big box, the targets coming into our world, but I hope that you will give the Small Business Administration and whoever else in the department needs help to protect the small business interests, because there really needs to be a balance. There's some serious problems going on in Upper Fillmore and Supervisor Farrell's district, in Japantown, and potentially on Hayes Street. The third point that I would like to make is we don't need any more cuts for the Women's Commission. I think Chief Sir understands the impact of domestic violence in this city, the work the district attorney has been taking lead on, and also in our little neighborhood on West Portal, there's some neighbors making some vigilance. I think human trafficking in District 4 has been identified as a problem from time to time. I think there's some suspicious behavior going on West Portal Avenue, right in the midst of our very busy street there, and I hope that the police are doing the right thing and investigating. Thank you.
Thank you. We actually have time for about 4 more speakers, so I'm going to call the last 4 speakers here. GL Hastings, Jaime Cortez, Anastasia Glickstern, and John Farrell.
Hi, my name is Aubrey Friedman. I live here in District 7 in Miramar Loma Park. I'm happy to live in District 7. I'm also from the Libertarian Party of San Francisco, and we're interested in making sure that taxpayers get their money's worth. So what I want to mention is kind of basic government services like roads. They're not in very good shape. Every time A driver fills up their car with a gallon, however many gallons of gas. A certain percentage of every gallon comes back to the city and county of San Francisco for the roads. Where is that money going? So I don't see any improvement. There was a bond measure which we opposed, but regardless, it's been passed. I don't see any improvement in the roads. They're still bumpy, lumpy, potholes. I'd like to see a basic improvement in that. That's just something people pay for automatically every time you buy gas. And the other thing, why are there so many street lights out? Somebody mentioned Ocean Avenue. Occasionally I'll be driving down between 19th, heading toward Lucky's, and there are numerous street lights out. Aren't they being fixed? I actually have called the 311, and I think they're pretty good, actually. If you report it, they will come out or get somebody out there within a couple days, and it's fixed. So that's good, actually. But why are there so many other street lights out? I mean, residents should report them in their neighborhood, but if they don't other government employees see the lights out? They could report it. And just lastly, I think I'm almost out of time. You cannot, when they, where you can park, you know, the painting red and white and all these different things. Okay, you can't. Can they please repaint them? You can't see these; they're so faded. Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and supervisors and department representatives, and especially good morning to all the activated citizens here. My name is Jaime Cortez. I'm coming to you from the San Francisco Foundation, and through our 5 program areas, we do grants to nonprofit organizations all over the city and in 5 Bay Area counties. I wanted to come today to especially emphasize the importance of ongoing support to the arts and arts nonprofits in this city and in these districts. I also, like Deborah Cullinan before me, I do have a lot of concern about the cutbacks that have happened in the various departments, and yes, within the arts, at Grants for the Arts, within the Cultural Equity Grants Program of the Arts Commission. I hope that in the future we'll be able to reinstate those. I also want to just draw attention to some of the fine work that's happening in these districts from arts nonprofits, like the Arab Cultural Center, which provides a secular place for a gathering of cross-cultural Arab cultures, and in that organization, they do all kinds of programs, including the annual Arab Cultural Festival. They have a gathering for battered women from those cultures. And it's really wonderful work that's happening there, immigrant integration, cultural expression. I also want to call attention to Stage Right, which is a program that works with young people and uses theater arts to teach them, yes, literary art skills, but also how to cooperate with their peers, how to develop their own kind of a sense of organizing projects, and to build their self-esteem. Wonderful things happen through these kinds of organizations, and I hope to see ongoing support for them. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, city family. I'm John Farrell. I have a real estate company, 5th generation San Franciscan. For the city, I was a former assistant assessor, mayor's budget analyst, finance director, and senior analyst for Harvey Rose for years. My father was former controller, appointed by Joe Alioto. Now, what is the integrity of the city revenues? All revenue generating departments should be audited for potential revenues. For example, the city is losing a minimum of $10 million to $100 million annually in revenue from the assessor's office. This doesn't even include other revenue loss, such as a transfer tax of at least $12.5 million from the recent sale of Lucas to Disney in 2012, due to an unconstitutional loophole in the Presidio Trust Act. For example, the Giants are a high-profile assessment. We love the Giants. The Giants built their ballpark for $355 million in 2000 and leased from the port for a total assessment of $400 million in 2000. The current assessment is $180 million, at least $200 million underassessed, resulting in a loss of $2 million annually. Did you know the Giants were the only assessment under ownership in the city that's depreciated, while others are increased by Prop 13, 2%? If the Giants are getting a $2 million break, what are the Warriors expecting? I get upset when I see people in the trenches worried about keeping their jobs and are worried about being fired when I know that we're not looking at all the revenues that should be taken in. You know, it's our city. We're here to work together. We need to audit the revenues. Have grand jury and Harvey Rose audit recommendations been implemented? I could go on all day. Thank you very much for your time.
G.L. Hastings, former city gardener for over 14 years. I'm disgraced what happened at Beach Chalet. I figured that it should be real grass. It's ridiculous what happened in Marin and other places. We have 200 gardeners short compared to what we used to have. I worked 14 years in the department. Miss Tang, which I'm your district, it's a disgrace when Standard Grove has an F of what, 7 gardeners last year. It's a disgrace when I have to go up in Terraville. I live on Terraville 35th. It's dirty, it's filthy. The streets look like a third world country. It's unacceptable. Yesterday, the grass got mowed near where I was. Isn't that interesting? That's a photo op, isn't it? Like what we saw this morning. Streets get clean, they get weeded when we have a meeting. So it's a great photo op, but it isn't reality. I see the reality. Roberts Motel should have been torn down years ago. It still stands, it still deteriorates. 47th Avenue and Cutler is a dump. Over a year I told it needed to be fixed. Still not fixed after a year for people in wheelchairs. Mr. Yee, you have on the east side of 19th Avenue between Santiago and Terraville is a beat up old, I think, water department building falling apart. It should be torn down and made condominiums or something out of it. The sand growing all over the zoo. It still doesn't get taken care of very well. I go to the zoo very frequently. I'm a member for that zoo. Outside looks terrible. We also have a beat-up old restaurant over at Lake Merced, which I used to be the Lake Merced complex for over a year. It still stands. It needs to be fixed. I wish I could say more positive things, but if these things don't get done, all the rhetoric means nothing unless it happens. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hastings, and thank you to everyone who shared their comments with us. I apologize that we couldn't get to everyone, but we will, again, be collecting all of your input. And where do we go from here? I will be bringing up Supervisor Farrell to talk about kind of the budget process as budget chair.
Thanks, Katie. And thank you all for being out here today and for all of your comments. I want to say very proud to have these two colleagues on my board, Supervisor Tang and Supervisor Yee, doing a great job for their districts, representing your ideas at the Board of Supervisors and your concerns. So thank you to my colleagues. Just to give you a quick perspective and time frame on the budget process, over the next few weeks in May, we're going to continue to hold hearings at our budget committee. We meet every Wednesday at both at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you would like to come by, please feel free to hang out all day on Wednesdays in City Hall if you would like. It gets to be entertaining sometimes. At the end of May or early June, the mayor is going to transmit his budget to the Board of Supervisors, his proposed budget. During this course of May, both the mayor and his budget director, Kate Howard, are going to be continuing to work very, very hard to put together a balanced budget. During the month of June, the Board of Supervisors is going to take a look at that budget, analyze it. We have our own budget analyst, as Mr. Farrell knows very well, when Harvey Rose mentioned. We're going to take a look at it and come back with potential tweaks. Maybe we agree with everything, maybe we don't. But the game is and the goal is, by law, we have to have a balanced budget, and we want to do that and make sure it gets passed through the Board of Supervisors by the middle of July. So again, the next 2 months are going to be very busy in City Hall. Again, we do have Budget and Finance Committee meetings every single Wednesday, twice every single Wednesday. Please feel free to come by. But again, more importantly, continue to make your voices be heard. These have been some great comments today. We've gone to a number of town halls across the city, and I want to say that today has been some of the most diverse set of comments from throughout the districts here. So thank you for being out here, and I look forward to continuing to work together to make the city a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Farrell. So in closing, I really just want to again thank all our city department heads, representatives, Mayor Lee for listening, Supervisor Yee, Supervisor Farrell, Kate Howard, and all of you for coming out to share your concerns. I also want to thank Ms. Newman, the assistant principal here at Hoover. Thank you so much for helping with all the logistics and making sure that this meeting goes smoothly. So in closing, I just again want to thank everybody and also see if Supervisor Yee and Mayor Lee would like to have some final remarks today.
Thank you, Supervisor Tang. Again, I just want to echo that I'm real happy to have you all here on a Saturday morning, giving your opinions, and it was good for us as supervisors and also for Mayor Lee to hear what your concerns are. The issues of pedestrian safety, quality of life issues in both District 4 and 7 cuts across probably the whole city. These issues are impacting from the youngest to the oldest. We heard from the seniors what they need. We heard from the educator in terms of what impact early education has in terms of the quality of our education system in San Francisco. So thank you very much, and hopefully the budget that we pass will reflect many of the issues that you brought up today. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you again for your input. I want to thank all of the department representatives for their patience in listening to everybody. It is what Supervisor Farrell said. You have a lot of diverse views. I assure you, each and every one of your comments is going to be repeated over and over again as we deliberate among ourselves about what we need to invest in. And I do want to say that overwhelmingly, all of you want a safer city. And we are going to work on those because you can't do anything in the city unless you feel safe. So I heard that that's probably one of the highest priorities coming out of this meeting. But the other things that you said are just as important. And I again want to thank the people that have supported the translation of your views and to make sure that everyone here has a great weekend. But know this, that we're going to work hard to make our budget reflect all of what you need to make this city successful. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming.